It's Bo.
What up? Welcome back once again to the Necro Zoo. I am Bo. This one, let's go ahead and add one more figure to my Harlan DC Multiverse collection. Now, today we will take a look at the Knightmare version of Batfleck from Batman v Superman. Now, honestly, this figure I was hoping McFarlane would do since we started receiving live action figures. And although it did take a while, now we do have it in hand. Now, of course, Batfleck being one of my favorite versions of Batman, that older, grizzled, pretty much a unit tank version of Batman has always been one of my preferred versions. Really wish we could have seen a solo Batman film from Affleck. I think it would have been pretty sweet, but sadly it never happened. But luckily we do have multiple versions of Batman throughout the Snyderverse. This being one of my favorite. Going into an apocalyptic world where Darkseid has started to invade Earth, leaving the world in shambles, and Batman aligning himself with a makeshift army, going up against Apocalypse and Superman as well. Now, of course, per usual, there is going to be some things that I do not like, but there's definitely a lot to like in this release. Now, after getting the tech suit, the Justice League suit, definitely satisfying to get this Knightmare version. Now, there is going to be an alternate release, a 2-pack with a different version of the Armored Batfleck. Now, the best part about this pack is that you will be getting the firearms, which this one did not get anything in any kind of pistol or anything like that. Very iconic machine gun and pistol that Batman used in this alternate apocalyptic version. Pretty much one of the best scenes from Batman v Superman. Now, of course, we'll be having a little bit of fun, adding our own touches, doing some figure photography, and a little bit of comparisons. Now, he does look pretty formidable in the packaging, but let's go ahead and take a closer look at him. But first, he does come with your standard black DC Multiverse stand. Now, of course, these are not really needed, but sometimes they do come in useful. He also comes with his data file card. On the front, you do have an image from the film. Always loved that version of Batman, portrayed by Ben Affleck. On the back, you do have some information. Pretty sweet. We'll hold on to that. Now, minimal accessories. You do get the goggles, which of course is a necessary part of Knightmare Batman. Now, although they do have slight sculpted detail, the lenses are not transparent, but they do have a nice bronze wash over them. So pretty cool, pretty rustic. You also get some binoculars, which these do make an appearance in the film in the Knightmare scene when Batman is meeting up to procure some kryptonite, but it does not go according to plan. But pretty cool to get another alternate accessory from McFarlane. Now, although there is no alternate fist for this figure, that is a pretty simple fix because the Justice League release of Batman, I have a custom here. I have my murdered out version here. Those did come with alternate fist. And a pretty nice detail is these gripping hands do pop off and these fists do pop right on. So you can alternate and change previous release fists onto this Batman. Now, I did end up buying 2 of these. I do have an extra one of these now. I may want to get one more, so that'll be 3 in total. Nothing different because, of course, this Batman. I ended up, I think, buying 5 of those so that I could make customs, include one in my mint in box collection. And I just love having extras of figures that I really enjoy. Now, another crazy detail about this, and that was that something cool is the backing where the card and the stand come was different. It does have a Batman v Superman motif going on there. First time, I'm pretty sure that I could remember that a singular release had a different print on it. Most of them, of course, have that white and blue DC collage of images. So I thought that was a pretty cool little detail. Now let's go ahead and take a closer look at this guy. First impressions at to the naked eye looks very good. Looks like the Nightmare version of Batman. Now, one of the reasons I do want to get at least one more of these is that so I can do a custom. We'll do some pretty cool stuff like dirty up the trench coat, add the holster for his pistol that is supposed to be on his thigh. Little details that I like to add, making him the best that he could be. Maybe even add a little bit of sculpted detail, like for the wraps that are supposed to be around his wrist. So that's some of the negatives about this one. There is a lot of positives. First impressions, if you didn't know any better, this would be, your standard Nightmare Batman release. Not a problem at all. Does have a resemblance to Batfleck there. The head is still not as blocky as I would like it to be, but it's passable. It's fine. Especially, I think, once you put on the goggles and in that alternate 2-pack version, he does have that baklava that goes across his face. So that'll definitely change the aura of the figure, the whole feel of it. But like I said, first impressions, this is a pretty close version to how he appeared film, but pretty good figure. You don't have a cloth goods coat on this one. You do have plastic, which it's cool. It doesn't bother me. I like that McFarlane has opened it up and have some different options for either using soft goods or reverting back to the textured plastic, which is fine. But it does look pretty cool. The more you sit with a figure, it gives you the ability to see its positives and its negatives. Two, eventually you might really enjoy the figure and it's something that you can't put down, or it's a forgettable figure that you'll never touch again or have anything to do with, which of course happens. It happens in all lines. You do have some bangers and then you have some flops, but this looks like a pretty respectable release. Take a look at the head sculpt. Same head sculpt as was on the Justice League release. The only thing I would say is they did add a little bit of shade and a little grayish bluish tone on that exposed part of the mouth. So they did add a little bit of paint to this one. While the original release had just like a flat flesh tone color, this one does have a little bit of depth to it. Pretty nice. Check out the articulation. Looks down pretty good. Looks up very well. You got right to left. And of course, you could tilt his head for some attitude. Oh, now move around with the articulation because we have pretty much seen this before. The waist has some nice articulation there. At the shoulder, you do not have the ring for the socket joint, but that is because it is covered by the plastic coat. But you could still move the shoulder around and get some good range. Bicep swivel, double jointed elbows. Now, this is where we get into one of the problems, and that, of course, is that they did not change the sculpt from the elbow down into the forearm. It is the same sculpt as the Justice League version, so it kind of has a grain. Now, this is one of the things where I say that if you look at it from far away, or if you're not really into all the details, you just want a Nightmare Batman, then you're not going to notice. But of course, collectors are really going to notice. It's like one of the first things you'll see is that the grain doesn't really match with the texture of the coat. So that is a problem. Down into the gauntlets, which are the same as the original release, so there's not a problem there. Sculpted out wrist joint, and of course, open hands. You also have open hand on the other side, but like I said before, that's a pretty easy fix. Opening up the coat, love the color that they used for the upper torso. Now, the bat emblem is that large Batfleck bat emblem, but there is one detail missing, although it does have a little bit of scrapes. That was on the original release. There's a big detail missing, and that is that in the images from the film, he does have a lot of bullet damage where you could see a couple of, bullets where they struck the armor of his chest plate. And of course, this one does not have that, but that is a cool detail I could be looking to add when I do my custom. But I do love that color, kind of a grayish, dark, almost a sort of military gray or green with a little bit of wash, so that is really nice. Down into the belt, which I'm pretty sure is the same as the original release. Now, where they do give you brand new sculpt, that is in the lower body. The trunks are completely different with a tactical belt detail. Moving into the thighs, now you do have a little bit of movement here at the hip swivel, kicks up respectively, kicks back as well. The sculpt is something that is pretty nice. They added a bunch of wrinkles and details that are from the film. Now, luckily, these are not the same legs as Sergeant Rock, which they could have done because of these added knee pads. Of course, you got the holster there that is missing the holster, but it's pretty cool that if you can find the holster that you want, you can add it to this, which is another detail I'll be looking to add in my custom. Now, the boots are exactly the same as the original release. You do have the articulation, and they look pretty good, except I kind of think they should be more like a matte, dull color, and of course have some, dirtied upness, some bronze or some brown, because of the dust that would accumulate over time, especially because of that barren landscape. So that is another detail you could add on your custom. So I'm going to look into doing that. But all in all, love the color palette that they used. But of course, we can always add some wash, some dark wash to bring out the wrinkles. So I am more than likely going to get another one of these so that I can customize it. The arms move around very well. You could get them in a T pose. Arms above the head, pretty smoothly. Taking a look at the coat, it does have a wash here at the bottom where it's dirtied up, and it also has a nice leather texture. Looking at the back, you could really see that grain that it has, which is really nice. So that is another positive. So pretty great. You do have the baklava resting around his neck, which is pulled up in the opening part of this Knightmare sequence and is represented in that 2-pack. But we'll have a little fun and add that for ourselves. Now, of course, can add the goggles to give them an alternate look. Basically, usually you just want to have them sitting up there resting on top, but you can pull them down to give them an added look. You got the binoculars that you could, of course, fit it well into his hand and opens up your possibilities for figure photography. Now, you can pop off that left hand very simply and grab one of the alternate fists and just pop that right on there. There you go. So that's an easy way to give them an alternate fist. Pretty nice, pretty sweet. Like I said, the possibilities are there. The sculpt is there. The design is there. Just some of the details that, of course, you can add for yourself. Really taking this figure to the next level. Now, of course, another thing I wanted to do was add some weapons just to have some fun with some figure photography. You can find a lot of machine guns that McFarlane has given us in the munitions pack. And I also wanted to add a pistol here. Now, you will get a pistol in the 2-pack, But I think this one represents a little bit closer of what was in the film, but a lot of fun when you add some guns to this figure. Now, of course, per usual, I do have the original Mattel release here. And now this is a perfect example of when, you know, freaks online try and say that, oh, Mattel was better than McFarlane. Mattel did it better. Now, I'm not going to argue that they did do some details that McFarlane didn't do. But when you really put them next to each other, the articulation, the detailed scope work, the textures, they're just not there on this old Mattel version. Right now, this is really looking like a McDonald's toy compared to a more sculpted out and finished figure. Now, Mattel did have the wraps on the wrist. They didn't skimp out on the way the coat ends at the elbows, the way the McFarlane did. But aside from that, it's a pretty soft figure. I think in this release as well, there was no weapons. They just gave you like three little batarangs, which I still have around here somewhere. That you can also use for this McFarlane version. They're so tiny, they fit perfectly and are very screen accurate. But in all actuality, there's just no comparison when you're comparing an old school Mattel figure to a present day sculpted out McFarlane figure. You just have so many options. These are so fun to customize and add your own details. Now, McFarlane is still keeping the price around $20. Now, I found this at Target when I also found the Wonder Woman and the two versions of Armored Batman. Got pretty lucky that day. I did buy all of those. But I think I found those like on Tuesday. And on the weekend, I ended up going to another Target and they had the Batman, but they were on sale. So I think I ended up buying it for $17, that second Batman that I found. So I mean, you just cannot beat this highly articulated, well sculpted, well designed Batman figure for under $20. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Add your own weapons, add your own baklava, have a lot of fun. That's what this is all about. This is supposed to be a fun hobby. And you shouldn't have to put up with any worms or any farmers or tomato pickers out there trying to tell you how to spend your money or what to collect. Now, really fun actually reviewing a figure. I've done, some custom videos, I've done topic videos, and sometimes I don't really like doing those as much when that's not what I'm looking for. I'm just looking to have fun, to show people what you could do to customize these figures, adding new things to my DC collection. And I always try and be as honest as I can. I'm still not monetized. I don't get free figures. I don't get money. I do this to enjoy it. And people just still seem to not get it. You're not going to make me stop. You're not going to hurt my feelings. I don't have feelings. I could care less what you think. This isn't my life. I have a lot of things going on. I do this for fun and to release a little bit of stress and because I love collecting DC figures. And just to prove my point, I did say what I didn't like about this figure, what was kind of ridiculous that they did, like with the elbows. But I also said what I do like about it and the possibilities of what you could make this figure, especially keeping it at around a $20 price point. You just can't make some people understand, and that is completely fine. They are entitled to think what they want. But you guys keep hunting out there, keep collecting, keep customizing, and I will see you on the next one.
They used to call me Crazy Joe, but now they can call me Batman.